world you are graduating into. This is what I want to talk about today with you for a few minutes. To lead in shaping a new world order for the 21st century.
In my campaign for president, I pledged to give America the most spectacular birthday party the world has ever seen for America's 250th anniversary on July 4th.
Mr. Jones owned a cotton plantation and many slaves. One day he was talking to the owner of the plantation next to his, and Mr. Jones was lamenting the fact that times were tough. He was having to work his slaves harder than ever, and was having trouble with some of them being disobedient or trying to run away. The other plantation owner said he knew someone who could help.
Day 1.
One day, Mr. Jones called his slaves together so a man named Mr. Smith could talk to them. Before beginning, Mr. Smith whispered to Mr. Jones, "Whatever I say, do not contradict me or interfere, and I promise you your slave troubles will end." "My name is Mr. Smith," he said to the slaves, "and this may be the happiest day of your lives. From today forward, you will no longer be slaves, but free men." Mr. Jones was so shocked he started to step forward, but Mr. Smith gestured for him to remain silent. He did, only because the other plantation owner had spoken so highly of Mr. Smith's skills. "You are no longer the property of Mr. Jones," Mr. Smith continued. "You are free. No more will you be forced to labor for the benefit of Mr. Jones. Now you can work for yourselves." Now the slaves were all murmuring and looking at each other. Many were smiling, many were looking puzzled. "In fact, you are now free to leave the plantation whenever you want," Mr. Smith said. "However, since we are surrounded by other plantations, if you leave, some other plantation owner will likely claim you as his own the moment you set foot on his property. So I urge you not to risk your newfound freedom by doing something so foolish. Instead, I suggest that you stay here, no longer as slaves, but as willing participants and part owners of this plantation. Yes, this is now your plantation." Mr. Jones bit his tongue to keep from objecting. "For now, we might as well leave Mr. Jones in charge," said Mr. Smith, "since he's the only one with any experience at running a plantation, which is quite a complicated thing to manage. But he will no longer be your master, but just another worker on the plantation. In fact, he will now be using his organizational and management skills to serve you. Whatever problems you may have had with him before, you are now all equals, and you need each other to make this work. If we all cooperate and work together, we can all reap the benefits together. In honor of this happy occasion, I present you this new symbol of togetherness and cooperation, this flag, which shall be the emblem of the new free Jones plantation." He held up the new flag, but most of those listening were still too amazed to respond. "And this shall be our motto," Mr. Smith announced. "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all. To celebrate, everyone has the rest of the day off. Enjoy your freedom, do as you please, and be back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, so that we may begin work on this great and noble new endeavor as equal free men." Finally convinced that Mr. Smith was serious, the former slaves applauded and cheered.
Day 2.
"We all want this plantation to do well," Mr. Smith said at the beginning of the next meeting, "so we can all share in the benefits. We all know that it takes a lot of effort to make a cotton plantation work. Just because you're all free doesn't mean you can stop working. In fact, since you're now working for yourselves, I expect you to work even harder than ever before, but now with pride and joy, knowing that you're working for yourselves. Of course, there still have to be rules. If everyone just does whatever he wants, the plantation won't produce anything. This experiment will fail and we'll all starve. You should be thankful that Mr. Jones has agreed to stay on to lend his knowledge and skills to this endeavor, and I trust you will all do your own part to make this work. Several of you have been chosen to act as project supervisors to manage different aspects of the operation, to make sure everyone is doing his assigned job, to make sure that the rules are followed, and so on. The rest of you may head out in the fields to start your first day of work as free men."
Day 3.
The next morning, Mr. Smith had a grim expression on his face as the daily meeting began. "I have an unpleasant duty to do today," he said. "Yesterday, Charles was caught keeping some of the cotton he picked, presumably to sell for his own personal profit. That is against the rules. That is stealing. For that, Charles must be punished." Two men tied Charles to the whipping post. "I take no joy in this," Mr. Smith continued, "but you must understand, if we do not maintain order, if we do not have rules that we all abide by, then the plantation will fail, and we will all suffer." The whip cracked against Charles' back. "But if we all pitch in for the common good, then we can all prosper. Being free doesn't mean you should be selfish and greedy. We must each do our assigned duties and obey the rules, and then we can all benefit, and each of you will receive your appropriate share of the profits." A young man named Samuel stepped forward.
we've got here is failure to communicate.
Only now, at the end, do you understand?
Some men you just can't reach.
One of the most well-known symbols of Freemasonry is the black and white checkerboard on the many Masonic trace boards. It is claimed to represent the checkered path of a person's life, and much like yin-yang, represents a path of balance and moving between stages of good and evil in one's life mainly. There are always multiple interpretations. While I'll have a difficult time proving it outright, it seems to me to be more of a representation of the left and right hand paths often referred to about the cult side of Freemasonry. I'm not trying to analyze the entire boards, only the dualistic symbolism representing these paths. It can be seen with the sun and moon, and the pillars Boaz and Chachin, which support the gateway to the Eye of Providence, the third eye, the pineal gland of enlightenment, or even Horus, Lucifer, or the Eye of Enoch's Watchers, depending on who you talk to. In any case, apparently both paths lead to the same destination, which I'm sure most Christians will say is hell, but that isn't how the initiates see it. Freemasons are the widow sons of Isis. Actually, it's more of a Hiram Abiff story, but that's the cover story. Their own personal Horus or Jesus. They are one and the same as the initiate seeks their own Christ consciousness. In metaphor, the Father reborn as the Son child, among other symbolism. But is it really that simple, or is there a dark side we're not told about? I'm trying to avoid decoding the eye, the occult trinity, and a lot else to keep this brief. Not everything Masonic is about Egypt, though. It does need to be noted anyway that some amount of the more esoteric symbolism of the trace board, the relationship of sun, moon, and stars, has to do with the same cosmic energies I've been talking about previously. Again, lost arcane technology was buried in religious symbolism by the priesthoods, why the pyramid is important. As with the Egyptian and other priesthoods, though, out-of-body experiences and reaching the star Sirius are part of the imagery. Again, widow sons of Isis, and Sirius is her star.
But if you and Mr. Jones decide the rules and whip us if we disobey, how is that any different from what we had before? How can you say that? Mr. Smith asked. I'm shocked. You were a slave before, and now you're free. Things still need to be managed and organized by those best qualified to do so. Do you know how to run a plantation, Samuel? Well, no, he answered. But if we're free, why do we get no say in what the rules are and how things work? I'm surprised at your ingratitude, Mr. Smith answered. None of you know how a plantation is run, so you're in no position to be making decisions about how things are done here. You don't seem to appreciate all the things that Mr. Jones provides for you, from protecting you from all the outside threats you know nothing about, those who would come here, capture and enslave you, if not for Mr. Jones' protection, to making sure that you all have food and housing, tools to work with, you're cared for when sick and injured, and so on. There wouldn't be a plantation at all, no cotton to pick, no land to plant and harvest, if not for him. You should be grateful that he's made possible the level of comfort you now have. Your lives would be far worse if not for him. Nevertheless, as free and equal participants in this endeavor, from now on at each meeting, any worker may have 2 minutes to ask questions or voice suggestions or complaints. With that, the workers all seemed satisfied and headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton.
Day 4.
I have a big announcement, Mr. Smith said as the day of the meeting began. Mr. Jones' cousin is here, and not just to visit and see how our project is coming along. It has been decided that from now on, you will be deciding who will manage the plantation. Of course, this job can't be done by just anyone, but every 3 months we will have a special meeting at which all the workers will vote on whether we think Mr. Jones should run the plantation or whether we think his cousin, Mr. Johnson, should run the plantation. That means that ultimately you are in charge because you will be deciding which man you want running things on your behalf. If you don't like the way things are being managed, you now have the power to change it. Amazed and pleased, the workers headed out again to the fields to pick the cotton. Days passed, months passed, a year passed, and the plantation continued to operate as before. Sometimes Mr. Jones was in charge, sometimes Mr. Johnson was in charge, but the day-to-day routine stayed exactly the same.
As the moon and the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, the stars near the moon, represent female aspects, we might also find links to the Black Virgin and Queen of Heaven in the symbolism, but now I'm just sidetracking with analysis. The black and white may represent male and female aspects as well as good and evil, which I'm trying to make a point of being distinctly separate Judeo-Masonic paths to enlightenment and reaching self-divinity. Interestingly, this same symbolism is buried in the Star Wars movies and represents the choice of paths to godhood. Luke Skywalker is Lucifer, Luke Skywalker. He usually wears white, but wore black briefly in his struggle on the left-hand path, the path of white magic, the Force. His father, Darth, meaning dark or death Vader, consistently wore black, representing the right-hand path, the black squares, and as a Sith Lord, practiced black magic. Lucifer is the light-bringer, but as Freemasons are widow sons of Isis, it might be more appropriate to call Luke Horus. Set, the Egyptian Satan, is Horus's uncle and Osiris's murderer, and I am fairly certain this is why Satan is often referred to as an uncle. Horus is Osiris reborn through Isis to avenge his own death, the same as with the Nimrod story, Tammuz, and others. Set is also known as Seth. Darth Vader was a Sith Lord, Seth. To add emphasis, the sun, represented by Horus, is a walker of the sky, thus Skywalker. The character relationships are different in that Vader is Lucifer's father, while Horus is the nephew of Set. With Horus avenging his own death at the hands of Set, the two would eternally wage war as forces of light and darkness, heaven and underworld. This is also what the black and white checkerboard represents. What really creates a parallel with Freemasonry, though, is how the Jedi Knights are the Knights Templar in disguise, both hunted to near extinction by a Pope figure who in the movies is the Emperor. The Emperor rose to power as a Chancellor, much like Hitler did, creating an even more sinister figure. And it's clear the Knights Templar practiced their own version of the Force, though more of the Hermetic and astrological persuasion. Lucas is said to have been inspired by Japanese dramas to create the name Jedi from the term Jidaigeki. But it occurred to me that it may be influenced by the name Levi, as in Eliphas Levi, the well-known magic practitioner and Freemason. It's possible, anyway. A movie with a similar Christ theme that seemed applicable to mention is Cool Hand Luke. The synopsis tells of the obvious biblical overtones, emphasized by this image that they show of a crossroads at the end. That's mainly why I used the clip at the beginning. The two scenes seemed to merge so well that I couldn't pass it up.
The workers worked hard, long hours every day, and still had little to show for it. Every day the meeting would begin with them all reciting the Jones Plantation motto, "We work together as free men for our mutual benefit, pledging our allegiance to the Jones Plantation, which stands for prosperity, liberty, and justice for all." One day Mr. Smith announced, "Samuel is asked to say a few words this morning, and whatever the rest of us may think of his ideas and opinions, we are all free here, and that means we are all allowed to speak our minds. So, Samuel, you have 2 minutes. Begin." Samuel stepped forward, looking scared. "I was excited when all this started," he began, glancing nervously at Mr. Smith and Mr. Jones. "But don't you all see what's happened here? Nothing's changed. We're all still slaves." There were grumbles of disagreement from the crowd. "They tell us what to do and whip us if we don't. They still make all the rules and punish us if we disobey. They let us make suggestions and complain about things, but they never really change anything."
There is far more symbolism in Star Wars, and most likely heavily reinforced, pun intended, when Disney recently bought up the franchise from Lucasfilms. Notice all the characters in the movie posters are showing their left eyes, the eyes of Horus, the left-hand path. It doesn't make much sense for the villain to be doing it, as no doubt the right eye represents the right-hand path, the dark side. When looking at montages of all the celebrities showing off their left and right eyes, it's difficult to determine which side they may or may not be leaning toward. For instance, Lady Gaga shows off her right, while Marilyn Manson, or did I, shows off his or her left. And while on the subjects of Manson and Disney, Marilyn recently signed a 6-year, 3-movie deal with Disney, who have become more than a little dark side in recent years. 6 years, 3 movies. I'm sure that's no 666 reference at all. I can't stress enough it's becoming the grungiest place on earth and not in the best interest of children's upbringing. Walt Disney was a leader of the Freemason youth group, the Demolay, named for the leader of the Knights Templar. And that's where a lot of the magic is coming from in Disney movies, his role as a Rosicrucian also. As most are already aware of the evils of Disney, I'll save that expose for another time. And finally, to reinforce my assertions about the magic practices along with the coincidences of names, I'll just quote two of the most famous Freemasons. When the Mason learns that the key to the warrior on the block is the proper application of the dynamo of living power, he has learned the mystery of his craft. The seething energies of Lucifer are in his hands, and before he may step onward and upward, he must prove his ability to properly apply energy. Manly P. Hall, from The Lost Keys of Freemasonry. Well, that doesn't sound one bit like an application of the Force to me. Oh wait, every bit. Lucifer, the light bearer, strange and mysterious name to give to the spirit of darkness. Lucifer, the son of the morning. Is it he who bears the light, and with its splendors intolerable, blinds feeble, sensual, or selfish souls? Doubt it not. Albert Pike, from Morals and Dogma of the Ancient Accepted Scottish Rite. There is a clear distinction, though, between Lucifer and Satan to Freemasons in the roles of Horus and Set. Lucifer even has to do with phosphorus in our DNA, and even sonoluminescence in a sense, where sound creates light and light does create matter. To them it is the source of life inside us and the Christ consciousness, while it would make sense that Set mainly represents death while Horus represents life, the sun, in simplistic terms. Perhaps that better explains this Freemason's words in this video.
I am Lucifer.
Okay, define Lucifer for me.
Pure, virtuous, wholesome, innocent individual that's out to help people.
Lucifer is?
Yeah.
Say that again. Lucifer is a pure, holy...
Virtuous.
Virtuous. Now, is he the Lucifer that God created?
That's the same one.
Oh, man, this is great. I'm going to put this on the internet.
Oh,
Amen.
God bless you,
Amen.
brother.
Because that's exactly what the Shriners and Masons teach, is that Lucifer is light.
No.
And you're,
Hey, what
you're
about
confirming
those hospitals?
You know what, sir? Jesus said, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, we did not do these good deeds in your name? And you'll say, away from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you.
Jesus said it?
In Matthew chapter 5.
Mercy.
No.
That's hard to believe.
So you're a Christian and you don't know that. Actually,
No, I really am.
you are.
Because I'm pure and virtuous.
You're pure and virtuous, okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, you're perfect without Jesus, right?
No.
Okay, tell me about Jesus. Who is Jesus?
But he's my leader.
Is he the Son of God?
Yes, he
Is
is.
he the only worshipful master?
Yes.
Have you ever been called worshipful master?
No, because I've just been too busy. I've been working.
Working.
Been working to help people.
What
like
kind
you.
of work? Okay.
Get out of here.
See, this is what a Mason confesses, is that Lucifer is light.
They let us choose between Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson, but what's the difference? The situation stays the same. We do all of the work and they take as much as they want and decide how much they'll let us keep. They live in luxury, made rich by the cotton we pick. We do all the work and have to build our own huts, grow our own food, and take care of ourselves. They leave us just enough that we don't revolt or run away. This is not freedom. We're all still slaves. They've only changed the words they use, but nothing else has changed. They say we're all free and equal, but we're not. They command and we obey. That's not freedom. That's not equality. They say we're free to leave, but all that means is that we're free to be someone else's slave. Why should we work or obey the rules? We didn't agree to this. They made the system. They forced it on us. They control and rob us and call it freedom. They've deceived you into thinking that being able to choose which slave master you'll work for is the same as being free. It's not. Open your eyes.
Hail, Holy Mother, who gave birth to the King who rules heaven and earth forever. Star of the sea, star of the sea.
Flammas eius, Lucifer matutinus inveniat. Ille in quam Lucifer qui nescito casum, Christus filius tuus, qui regressus ab inferis, humano generis serenus iluxit, et tecum vivit et regnat in saecula saeculorum.
Lucifer is a name that, according to dictionaries, refers to the devil, Satan, or to the planet Venus, when appearing as the morning star. So Lucifer would seem to be Venus, but Lucifer is the sun as a morning star. The star Sirius is also the morning star, the star of Isis, during the dog days of summer, the dog star. So Lucifer, Venus, and Isis, Sirius, are all a morning star, while Jesus is referred to as the same in Revelation 22:16. Not to complicate things, but it doesn't mean that they're all the same being. It's a generic term, and again, Lucifer and Satan are not the same being either. Priests of Isis wore masks of Anubis, as shown from her temple in Pompeii, a possible dog star reference. Set also has a canine head like Anubis, and is the sister of Isis. The point I'm making is it's far too complicated to just assume Satan when using the term Luciferian. Or is it implied by the checkerboard squares and twin pillars leading to the same destination that Horus and Set are ultimately one and the same? Or are they leading to the Isis of Providence in the cult of the all-seeing Isis? I think it's actually pronounced Isis or Isis, not to nitpick the point. It's most often called the Eye of Horus, but is it? The real point here, though, is that Luciferian and Satanist is the difference between white and black magic, and just so I don't present a basic point while seeming completely ignorant of Egypt. It's also worth noting that upon reaching the Royal Arch degree, initiates are informed that the real name of God is Yabulon.
If you keep what you produce, they call it stealing. When they take what you produce, they call it sharing and fair distribution. Can't you see that this is all your time? Ease up, Samuel, Mr. Smith announced calmly. At his gesture, two supervisors grabbed Samuel by the arms and led him to the whipping post. I'm sorry, Samuel, but you've broken the rules. There are rules against encouraging others not to work and encouraging others to break the rules. You're only hurting all of us with your discontentment and your complaining and your disobedience. The whip fell and Samuel let out a grunt. Without rules, without order, all would be lost. Without law, there would be chaos. We can't just behave as wild animals, each doing whatever he pleases. We must all follow the plan and all do our duty for the betterment of everyone. And those who do not must be punished. The whip fell again and blood flowed freely from Samuel's back. Samuel, it is you who are stealing from the others. When you don't do your assigned work, you are making more work for others. When you disobey the rules, it is you who are endangering the future of everyone else here. You are the thief. You are the criminal.
Which is a godhead trinity of Yah, either Yahweh and or the Egyptian moon god Yah, Bull, or Baal, the bull god, and On, claimed to be Osiris, while Manly P. Hall stated a possible Persian deity, Yah-Bol-On. This is the same Royal Arch degree that I mentioned in my last videos displaying the W, pitchfork sign, which I reasonably assumed had to do with Mary, who was also Isis as well as representing other mother goddess figures, while also the spiritual sea between heaven and earth. But it could represent this Yabulon trinity. I doubt that, but it's possible, and I'm mainly pointing out that Lucifer isn't necessarily the god of Freemasons as is often portrayed. It's far more likely to be Isis, or in another role Sophia as wisdom, or generically the Queen of Heaven, the Great Mother. So anyway, it would seem there is both a light and dark side to Freemasonry, while it may be that the practitioners of white magic may actually not mean any harm to anyone. I know most Christians will say they're all evil, and that same final destination between the pillars of light and darkness only reinforces that they're all walking in the delusions of Satanism.
No! 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 Do you think Colonel North is going to be impressed by such a sloppy group of cadets? Now, we are going to do this and keep doing it until you get it right. All right, now, once more. With feeling. And...
Candyman! Hey, Candyman! Who can take a sunrise? Sprinkle it with dew.
The Masonic Chip program uses modern police-approved techniques to create a child identification kit.
And we take fingerprints. We also provide them with a swab for getting a DNA swab. And we also provide them with imprint where they can get an imprint of the child's teeth. So not only does it provide DNA as well as a swab, but it is also a source if you were using tracking dogs to provide a scent for the child.
Cover it with chocolate and a miracle or two. Candyman, Candyman, and the Candyman can. The Candyman can, 'cause he mixes it with love and makes the world taste good. The Candyman makes everything he bakes satisfying and delicious. Talk about your childhood wishes.
You can even eat the dishes.
You may be surprised to see who we found using tricks to cover up their license plates.
Apparently, they're law enforcement.
You know, in Hollywood and in the industry and the stuff we do, there's a lot of like insider secrets to keeping your career going, and a lot of insider secrets to making things tick.
You are the one trying to destroy the arrangement that keeps us all safe and prosperous. At every lash of the whip, the other workers cheered, louder and louder, some yelling curses at Samuel. Being spoiled and selfish, you complain about everything, talking as if you're oppressed. But you are the one ruining things. You are the one keeping us from being all we could be. It is your greed and your rebelliousness that is hurting all of us. They all play by the rules, Mr. Smith said, gesturing at the others. What makes you think that you don't have to? You think you're above the law? There were loud yells of agreement as the whip fell again. We must maintain order, Mr. Smith proclaimed, to make this plantation great, to make it so that we can all be happy and prosperous. To have the society we want, there have to be rules. We all have to contribute our fair share to this great endeavor, and we cannot tolerate actions and attitudes that seek to undermine the amazing things that together as free men we have achieved and will continue to achieve. Mr. Jones was smiling as he gave Mr. Smith a pat on the back. The crowd was cheering so loudly that none of them had noticed that Samuel had died.
This is a new technology with still fairly little research behind it.
Theodore Zanto is a neuroscientist at the University of California, San Francisco. He was surprised to learn that this tech, called electroencephalography, also known as EEG, is being used in the classroom on children. It's usually used by doctors in hospitals and labs.
EEG is very susceptible to artifacts, and so if you are itchy or just a little fidgety, or the EEG wasn't set up properly so that the electrodes didn't have a good contact, affects the signal.
Despite the chances for false readings, teachers told us the headbands have forced students to become more disciplined.
上课回答我的问题，就是他们的声音会比平常更响亮。
Teachers say the students now pay better attention during class, and that has made them study harder and achieve higher scores.
上课认真听讲，作业做的基本上是全对的。
But not all students are as enthusiastic. This fifth grader, whom we caught dozing off in class, told us his parents punish him for low attention scores. And that kind of data adds a new kind of pressure for students.
你想啊，如果在一次考试全班人都考了95分以上，就你考了一个85，你会不会感觉你有一种落后？
here to act as chaperones to the candidates. A group selected for intelligence trials using augmented reality technology.
This is seriously weird, isn't it? I am Ariel. The candidates, they're children.
The time to save our country's future is now.
I thought that was a really neat trick they played on you.
But as me having younger siblings, we all had to share one computer until we got the iPads.
If we educate the kids and provide them the resources that are necessary, the goal was that they would go home or go into the community and be able to educate others.
Alert me at any time if you feel stressed, anxious, or concerned.
They weren't like this when we arrived.
There's something wrong with them!
Verizon Innovative Learning helped me with technology because everything changed once we heard we got iPads, we can do our work through there, we can take it anywhere. If it wasn't for them, we'd probably still be in the same thing, having to share a computer lab.
Hurry! Run!
These are the minds of the future, remember?
They were given an opportunity to become engineers or to become city developers in their own classroom, so their confidence has gone through the roof.
And it opens up so many other doors that doesn't limit them to a specific career field.
What is magic? Our argument, nothing but targeted deception.
Good afternoon. Jill and I thank you for joining us today. And we have a special guest. You can see to my left here. I'm thankful to our friends at the White House Historical Association and the National Park Service for helping us deliver thousands of commemorative aids to vaccination sites and communities and healthcare centers all across America. Easter is a day of joy when we celebrate resurrection and renewal. But this year, we know many are still going without the familiar comforts of the season. The virus is not gone, and the second year in a row, most will be apart from their families, their friends, and the full congregation that fill us with so much joy. The scripture tells us, joy cometh in the morning. As we celebrate the renewal of this season, we know that long-for dawn is almost here.
Outraged locally and nationally after President Biden issued a proclamation for Transgender Day of Visibility on March 31st. It's an international observance held the same time every year since back in 2009. But this year it happens to fall on Easter, which is sparking backlash to the president's proclamation. News 4 Jack's reporter Khalil Maycock joins us now. Khalil, you spoke with different LGBTQ groups about what's happening.
Scott, I did. And the president of P-Flag Jacksonville says this is something that people shouldn't be upset about, especially since this day has been celebrated since March 31st, which she says has been for over a decade. She says more attention should be put on people making sure people in the transgender community are okay. So this is that proclamation some people locally and nationally are upset about that President Joe Biden signed and declares March 31st as Transgender Day of Visibility. It's a day of celebrations and educational events designed to bring attention to the transgender people. The day was created in 2009 and always has been observed on March 31st, including all 4 years of the Trump administration. This year, Easter falls on the same day, which is why some people are upset. The only other time this has happened was in 2013. Easter usually falls between March 22nd and April 25th every year. The holiday is celebrated on the first Sunday after the full moon or following the spring equinox.
That's a lot of people.
Don't worry, they don't bite.
Watch out.
Hey.
Hello.
This is Ian. Ian, this is my crew from the LGBTQIA Center.
Hey.
Hey,
How are
Ian.
you?
Are you going to introduce yourselves, or do I have to do it for you?
I'm Bethany. I'm a triracial cisgendered girl fag. I identify as pansexual and my pronoun is she.
Okay.
Hi, Emerson. Gender fluid, hetero-romantic, demisexual mutt, and a redhead. My pronoun is Z.
Hey, I'm Rabbit. Genderqueer, tax attorney. I identify as Jennifer Aniston. Just kidding. V. Member.
DX. Chinese Mexican agender intersex AFAB. My pronoun is they.
Okay. All right, is it okay if I ask a few questions?
Better than to assume you know the answers.
What is intersex?
When a person is born with what is typically perceived as both male and female sex organs.
AFAB?
Assigned female at birth. When your parents decide your gender without considering how you may identify in the future.
Okay, and what's the whole pronoun thing?
When we talk about DX, we say ask them if they would like a coffee.
But there's only one of him. Her, them.
I saw that morning, being down here now, as different as it looks, I still have those visuals, those images in my mind, in my head. We're on, as a nation, officially now. The suicide bombers, it happens in Israel on a daily basis. Those are the things we have to be careful of now, we have to watch for now.
Time, effort, money that is being expended by Satan and his minions to implement his agenda.
A future that Ernest Cline, the writer of the book, envisioned. I was very careful with Ernie collaborating with me every step of the way to be able to find the movie narrative inside this dense forest of Ernie's profound imagination.
The Oasis being the ultimate toy box with all the toys in the world, and then playing that with one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. It results in just amazing action and such a fun adventure.
Ernest Cline is such a visionary, and I think has seen the future before any of us possibly could even imagine it.